ModLab 50.
Hello fellow YouTubers and welcome to this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. The idea behind this series has been rooted in my head for about 13 months now, but I think this would be a great idea. Before I get started, I'm not some super baseball sleuth guy who knows everything about every club's farm clubs or injury probability or baseball stadiums and how they affect balls flying away. A lot of words. Also, more so than in any sport, baseball can't be predicted accurately. It just can't be. Injuries, breakthrough seasons, bust seasons, mid-season trades, mid-season call-ups. Sure, I'll be wrong quite a bit, most likely. But let's start off this video with the American League West Division. In last place, I'm putting the basement dwellers from last season, the Oakland Athletics. Granted, just like the Royals, this is a team that has gone to the postseason without seeming like a true postseason team. But realistically, they've seemed to have gotten younger this offseason, with their only big acquisitions being Yonder Alonso, Chris Davis, and Jed Lowrie. Now, on the same token, they lost Ike Davis and Brett Lowry. So let's look at what they did last year, shall we? Aside from Sonny Gray, the entire pitching squad pretty much sucked. Well, that's not entirely true. Kazmir was good until he got traded. So let's see what they have on the offensive end. Well, they had Josh Reddick, who led the team with 20 long balls and 77 RBIs. But they got three guys. Let's see how they stack up. Well, Yonder Alonso has only played a full season one time in his career, and that was in 2012. Right off the bat, the question is, can he stay healthy? His career slugging percentage is .392, and he's never had a season with more than 10 homers. And he'll be batting in pitcher-friendly O.Co Coliseum. Yeah, he was a bad choice. He just really was. Chris Davis, on the other hand, obviously has power with 2 seasons with over 20 homers. I do want to say, though, he did that for the Brewers, and their stadium helps cause a lot of long balls. So he's going from one extreme to the other, but this is something we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Meanwhile, Jed Lowrie has a higher slugging percentage than Yonder, but hasn't hit more than 10 homers since 2013. My point being, all 3 of their new players don't look that good on paper, and they haven't gotten a pitcher to help Sonny Gray carry the squad. Meanwhile, the A's have shown to be sellers at the trade deadline, aggressive sellers at that. So I have to assume they'll sell early this year, maybe end the season with a record of 71-91. Above that, but not by much, I have the Seattle Mariners, and this is basically because I'm tired of being burnt by thinking this team will do well this year, and then they underperform big time every time. So this year, I'm going to be ahead of the curve and call them losers here and now. Let's start by looking at their big moves from this offseason, getting Steve Clevenger, Leonys Martin, and Hisashi Iwakuma. Yeah, there ain't no way I pronounce that right. Sorry. And I must say, I'm a fan of those deals. Iwakuma has been quietly impressing for a while. You know, he has a career ERA of 3.17, which is great number 2 stuff. Clevenger's barely played in the big leagues yet, and Leonys has no power and averages a .255 for batting. Now it kind of seems like they've ran in place, doesn't it? Can't really expect Cano and Cruz to carry this team. The combo of Felix and Iwakuma will be nice, but then you remember this is the same 1-2 punch they've had for a while now, and it's gotten them nowhere. I really can't stress this enough. They're the same team as last year. So I'll give them 74 wins and 88 losses. So now it's time for the big difference from last year's standing, which is where the Astros end up. I know it's always hard to pick a young team to dominate a division, but I don't see it happening this year. Let's look at what happened last year, shall we? At the end of the season, they fell apart horribly and almost ended up out of the postseason, only getting in by 1 win. They won't be that lucky this year. See, last year, they took in the division early and were basically able to do just well enough to hold on. But this year, the Angels and Rangers are both set up to start strong. So my question is, which team is the real Houston Astros? Probably somewhere in the middle. So let's see what they did to improve this offseason, shall we? They signed Doug Fister, and that's about it. That's rather suiting, though, because just like the Astros, Fister is a split guy. In 2014, he posted a really nice 2.41 ERA, and then he followed that up with a 4.19 in 2015. So, will he post a 2 ERA this year? Or will he be a mediocre to crappy pitcher again? Will it matter? I mean, he only pitched 267 innings over those 2 years combined. So can he give them 200 innings this year? And this was their biggest, and from my understanding, only major move this offseason. And I get that they should theoretically get better because their young guys are getting older and thus more experienced. But the top two teams getting better, visibly better this offseason, I don't see it happening. I will still give them 85 wins and 77 losses though. And for the second part of the controversy is when I put the Angels at number 2 in their division with a whopping 87 wins and 75 losses. Now, I know I badmouth other teams for not having any pitching, yet I'm giving the Angels 87 wins. But let's view the facts, shall we? Only one team has Mike Trout. That same team has a living legend, Albert Pujols, on it too. And Cole Calhoun. That should never be underestimated. Then you realize they have one of the best center fielders in Mike Trout, and now due to an offseason trade, they have the best defensive shortstop in the game in Andrelton Simmons. The only real hole in the lineup is left field, which, as everyone knows, is one of the easiest positions to find a power player for. Maybe they'll fill that hole at the trade deadline, and once they do, they'll have one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Imagine if Pujols has another good year, Trout and Calhoun continue to get better, and they fill that left field hole too. Not to mention, if you look at their team, they could have a devastating team for years to come, with Trout, Calhoun, and Simmons expected to only get better in the future. But let's look at the biggest problem the team could face this year: pitching. Garrett Richards was the only pitcher on the squad to break 181 innings. That being said, though, maybe Jared Weaver can go back to his normal form. If you look at his stats, he's only in 2 seasons with an ERA over 4. If you could drop it to a high 2 or even a low 3, he could be the ace the team needs. Even Garrett Richards, if you look at his numbers, had a down year. So if his ERA drops another run, this team could be insanely formidable. That being said, we can't really expect that. But if all of the pitching squad can improve, the offense might just be able to carry the team into a wildcard berth. The top spot I predict going to the Rangers. Let's start out with what they did this offseason. Tom Wilhelmsen and Ian Desmond. Yeah, that's dull, but it's more than they had last year when they won the division. If Ian could regain his old form, smash 20 homers, he could have a very powerful lineup. Prince Fielder, a healthy Josh Hamilton, Sin-Soo Choo, Adrian Beltre, Mitch Moreland, and Ian Desmond. That is a scary lineup, isn't it? Even the pitching should be good when you have a 1-2 punch of Yu Darvish and Cole Hamels. If you seriously look at the division, they have the best 1-2 punch in this division. The only team with 2 actual ace caliber pitchers. You put all this together and you have one of the best teams in all of the American League, which is why I picture them clawing enough to win the division with 88 wins. Time for everyone's favorite part of these videos, where I look at wild cards for each team. What player could make or break each team? Working our way up, for the Athletics, I have Chris Davis. Can he keep up his power numbers moving to a pitcher-friendly ballpark? If he can, he could be the catalyst to keep the team in contention or be good trade bait at the deadline. For the Mariners, I'll say it's Felix Hernandez. When he's good, he's really good, and if he stays good all year, he might just force the team to stay in the postseason race. The Astros should be an interesting team to watch, but my player to watch is Doug Fister, as he is just about their only big acquisition, and he provides some much-needed experience on a young team. The Angels' wild card is without a doubt Jared Weaver. He has ace potential. If he could show it again, this team could run away with the division. If not, his team will have to fight and scratch to take the wild card. Then for the Rangers, I'll say it's Yu Darvish. And I'm sorry it's pitchers so often, but if you can return to his old form, he will be the team's ace. They'll take the division without much resistance. So those were my thoughts. Like if you've enjoyed the effort put in, and comment if you disagree with me, or hell, even if you agree with me. Share if you have friends who would want to see this, and subscribe as we move to the National League later. But anyway, peace out, home skillets.
Madlab 50. Madlab 50.